Let's take you back to where it all began. Well, episode 30 at least. If you're tired of the old cookie-cutter marketing advice and want to take your personal brand to the next level with bold, actionable strategies that truly reflect you, you're in the right place. Let's untangle your marketing mayhem with Zoe, the video confidence coach, on the Unboring Your Brand podcast. Unboring Your Brand was recorded on Wadawurrung land. Where today we're going to go back into the archives, check it back at episode 30, which is essentially my reboot for the Unboring Your Brand podcast, where I had it as a previous name, which was Video Confidence Cast. You could see why that didn't really work. Video Confidence Cast while I was having a temporary name, and then even before that it was Do Video. The best way to say is we were back to weekly episodes after taking some time to reflect and having some time for ourselves while we needed it during everything, the whole wide world experience that everyone had in 2020. Wonder why. And also just my perpetual burnout because I'm stupid. And I wanted to have this podcast be a single content home base to make sure that I got my ideas out to you and to help you grow your personal brand through video marketing. So make sure that you take this time to, and if you have already listened to this episode, feel free to skip it. I'll see you next week. In the meantime, for everyone who is new, who maybe haven't checked this out, I want to take you on board and bring you back to episode 30, where we find out the one simple repurposing example that can help you run short, sharp messages from a longer piece of content so you don't feel the need to be overwhelmed by a content checklist. See you then. So Zoe, why are you doing these weekly live streams? So this is going to be called the Confidence Coach Connect, where I will be available to be able to answer any of your questions in a live stream, currently on YouTube and LinkedIn, but I do plan to branch out to further platforms when I start a better process going for myself. And ultimately, I want to spend an hour a week being available and publicly available to answer people's questions in a live format. Ultimately, what I'm saying is the reason I'm doing these live streams, and I want to be live from 10 to 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time every Friday, is because I want to give myself an hour of time to work on whatever I need to work on and to showcase people live streaming and as an accessible platform for them and their business if they choose to do so. Because again, I can always help out on the back end with live streams as part of the products and services I provide to clients. But ultimately, live streaming is a different beast when it comes to the focus and the attention that you need to give. You need to be alert, but it's also okay to stuff up. Like, for example, just there a minute ago, I had restarted what I was saying. And that is okay, because I intend to use this content that I am recording right now for all the people who are live and who are in the replay. I intend to use this in podcasts, in videos, in marketing materials, in shorter, sharper videos to be able to use for my ultimate marketing plan. So let me go into what that actually is. So my ultimate marketing plan that I'm working for myself in my business, and at times I have worked this kind of model with some clients of my business when they just need a holistic solution that they can run by themselves as a one-woman or a one-person show with maybe a virtual assistant off to the side. So what I mean by this is I use what I like to call an umbrella principle when it comes to marketing. I have one focus for me that is this live stream, which then turns into my podcast. And then from the podcast, it gets turned into everything else. So starting at the top of the umbrella, comes down and then trickles into every other facet of my business. What I mean by that is that that from a podcast, so from this live stream that I'm recording every single week from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Australian Eastern Standard Time, I'm available live for anyone who wants to talk to me. But that isn't necessarily going to be something that's going to happen every week. I'm not necessarily have currently got the audience where I'm going to go live and everyone's going to scramble to talk to me. It's also, during a work day. So I'm perfectly fine with people not interacting with me live. But the fact is that I'm still here. You're still seeing me and you're still interacting with me if you have the choice and pleasure to do so. And if you do, I will also make sure to shout you out. And then from that live stream, I pull out sections of this live stream to then use in my podcast. The podcast is currently called the Video Confidence Coach Cast. I am looking at a different name, but for now we are just going to roll with the name that I have at the moment, Zoe. And then from that podcast, I'm able to pull out sections of that podcast to use in social media. I'm able to use sections of that podcast into longer form videos on YouTube, on my website, and on other platforms that I deem so. Because again, I'm helping my audience by only doing an hour a week of work. And then, as we're going down the umbrella with me, come on, keep with me, folks. With the content that I'm producing, I can then help people, direct people to my resources or my offerings that can ultimately help them achieve what they need to achieve, be it on my website, be it lead magnets that I provide, be it events that I'm hosting, be it podcasts that I'm running myself or that I'm guesting on. Again, this is all a marketing machine that is essentially self-perpetuating, that again, I am doing, as me, Zoe, honestly, an hour a week. Now, of course, we're not talking about the back end here. That's what the processes, automations, and a lot of other work is for. But ultimately, when it comes to being able to output this work, this type of mentality and this type of marketing plan, I've worked with a few people now. Some not successfully, some successfully. But it very much depends on the type of work ethic that you want to put out there. And also when it comes to marketing your business, a lot of business owners have a tendency of putting it on the sideline if it's not a hobby of theirs. What I mean by that is that a lot of business owners have a tendency, when they look at their marketing, it's another thing to add on to the business that they need to do. They know they need to market because they need to tell people that they exist. They need to serve people and help people, be it online, be it through like physical marketing, however they want to do it. They know they need to do it, but it's kind of a thing that's added on later, as opposed to incorporating it into the work that they do in their business. And there's also that aspect of what I ultimately mean by that is that there is just so much focus on just getting the product out, getting the service out, that you don't tell people about it. And you're essentially putting in so much effort that ultimately goes out into the ether. Yes, you've served your clients, and hopefully you've served your clients well. But once they've done that, maybe there's a little bit of word of mouth. But if there's no website that they can point to you, if there's no Facebook page, if there's no LinkedIn page, if there's no YouTube channel that people can point to saying, hey, such and such really helped me out, that I really enjoyed their service or product, they really helped me out, really got me out of a bind, check them out on YouTube, check them out on Facebook. Because when it comes to word of mouth, it's no longer people don't take your word for it anymore. They take your word and then they research it. They take your word and go, oh, this person called, was it video conference coach? Okay, I'll look that up. And using SEO and Google, I have made sure that word works for me. So when people, come across me, I'm able to actually answer their questions, and I come across in that particular style, I must say. But looking at the time that I've spent already in just the introduction alone to this live stream. But essentially, the reason why I started this live stream was because I wanted to enact this marketing plan for myself, this one-step approach that branches out into every other facet of the marketing that I do for myself in my business. I wanted something that I could do in my business, marketing-wise, that was easy and consistent, which ultimately meant I had a longer longevity. So that when I consistently put out podcasts, that I consistently put out content, that I consistently help people with the words and the pointers and the guidance that I can give them, then hopefully they can come to me and my business and work with me either in a service or a product that I provide. So ultimately, as I mentioned to you, and I would describe this full umbrella term, coming down. Now, this umbrella type marketing plan doesn't necessarily have to just focus on a live stream or a podcast. It can be something that you can do fairly consistently. Can you do a blog post fairly consistently? Well, awesome. We can turn that blog post into different types of content that stretches, all the different avenues that you're a part of. So you're consistently giving value with the one piece of content that you focused on to, put the effort in to begin with. So is that one thing that can spur onto many things? Is that a blog post? Is that, a chat with one of your employees, like every week in a podcast style? The reason I have a tendency of leaning on the tools that I provide, usually being live streams and podcasts, is because a lot of my clientele, we are yappers. We like to yap. And if we can do that on a, regular basis, we are going to choose that option over stressing over a written blog post. That's just the clientele that I particularly work with. But if that doesn't work for you, that is okay. You can also choose other options out there for other types of content that you find that you can produce relatively consistently and easily for you. Then from there, you can then pull parts of that out to generate content for your website. So my philosophy when it comes to marketing yourself is to put yourself first. And what I mean by that is when you market yourself, a lot of the clientele I work with, when they first start working with me, they think about social media first. They think, I got to put this on my Instagram, I got to put this on my LinkedIn, I got to put this on my YouTube. They keep thinking about those type of end goal places as your first step, when ultimately that is not your first step. Your first step is to put it on your website because you have full control over your website. You have full control over how your website looks, how everything that is on your website, you have control over. That's where you put it first. That's where you put your energies first. Then the second one, that's usually the next step, is an email marketing list. You send it out to your email list. And if you don't have an email list, start getting one going. Or like myself, you have a few different ones, depending on the type of need that you have to work with people. But again, the email list is something that you control, that you have access over. And then once you've worked on that, then you can start pulling out the content. When I say pulling out the content, I mean taking smaller snippets of that content. Again, be it a podcast, be it a live stream, be it a blog post, be it, again, whatever long form piece of content that you've used, start pulling sections out so then you can start using that for content on then your social medias, then other platforms like that. Maybe even offering it to other platforms that would need your help, or say, for example, maybe you're a guest writing a blog post on someone else's platform and you find that, hey, a couple of months ago I did a live stream talking about this exact topic. Okay, I'm going to use smaller snippets of this video interlaced within this blog post to help re-emphasize the point that I'm making here. 10 out of 10. You've made an ultimate blog post that with supporting evidence, so then people are more likely to follow you because you're giving them everything that they need. I've forgotten which tangent I went down there for a second there. But ultimately what I'm saying is, and looking at the time now, this was not even supposed to be a full podcast episode, but I think this is what it's going to turn into. But the reason that I'm doing this is so that I can only put my focus into, for my own business, I want to stress, focus on making a live stream once a week that I can create multiple podcast episodes out of, so that future me doesn't have to stress about producing a podcast every week. For the love of God, that is what keeps happening to me, is that I keep stressing because, and for those who are in the marketing profession themselves, you'll find yourself doing other people's work before your own, other people's marketing before your own. Focusing on other people's business before your own, because they are your clients. They've come to you for help and you want to serve them to the best of your ability. And of course, that takes energy and time away from what you would spend on yours, despite your not ability, but your want and your wish to focus on your own business. And I'm saying that as if I'm saying it to you, but I'm ultimately saying it to me here, Zoe. Is that this weekly live stream, even though I don't feel fully prepared, I ultimately feel very slapdash together, that I don't know what I'm doing, that I just feel wholly overwhelmed with something that I put myself in again. It is okay. And I'm saying this to both you and me here, listener, that it is okay to feel overwhelmed. But if you need to action something, like you keep putting it off for whatever excuse, whatever thing comes to mind, whatever brick, and I want to usually stress a mental brick wall that you usually put in front of yourself, knock it down with something that you can do easily and consistently over a long period of time that you can fortify for yourself. I know for a fact that I am very good at attending meetings. I have a lot of meetings that I run for clients, for potential leads, for everything that I do, and I never miss a meeting. I've only missed a meeting like, I'd say once or twice, and that wasn't even my fault. So, a live stream is a meeting that I can meet consistently once a week. And I want to be here to help you and to serve you. So what does that mean? That means that I'm going to be here once a week, every week, at the same time, to be able to help and serve people how I choose. Because I want to help and serve people, but I need to make sure that I don't burn out at the end of it. And ultimately, I'm still, learning, even though I help people and serve people, because there's that step connection that I am able to objectively look at their situation and their marketing and be able to provide them tips. I do that. I try and do that for myself, but of course, when you look at your own face, you have a tendency of a little bit overwhelming yourself. I'm always open to feedback. So if you would like, feel free to email me on zoe@vcc.training. If you want to ever email me, that's essentially my email address. Or you can reach out to me via any of my social medias that you can find on the web that say video confidence. That'll definitely be me. If it's got my face, it's usually me. And if it's not me, then I'll kick them out because they're definitely not me. Ultimately, I wouldn't try and sell you something. Like, yes, I am a business, but I wouldn't try and get you into a ticket or a, raffle or anything like that. I'm just you just come to my website and you buy services off me. Why would I ask you to do anything else? I might get you to download a lead magnet if it's going to help you and what you need to do. Other than that, I'm not really going to push any of the scammy stuff. And if I do, feel free to yell at me and use this against my will and say, Zoe, no. Thank you for listening or watching Unboring Your Brand. You can find detailed show notes with tools, offers, and episode transcriptions. Just click the first link in the description or go to vcc.training/podcast. Get involved and ask me anything about personal branding, video strategy, or just a friendly small business chat via my email, g'day@vcc.training. That is gday@vcc.training. The Video Confidence Coach would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I record my podcast. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Look forward to me chatting at you next week, superstars.